Hey, hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm building the fifth part of my color block build challenge, and it is a blue Colonial. And this one was a bit of a doozy. Because Colonials are normally just giant square boxes, making one a tiny scale was rough. Considering they are traditionally 2 floors, trying to fit the staircase in and still have enough space for the amount of bedrooms I wanted was a process. I also had troubles with the windows and doors and the floor plan. Basically, the entire house was a challenge, but I am very pleased with how it came out. I made it for 2 parents and a child, so there are 2 bedrooms and I think 2 bathrooms. I think I managed to squeeze 2 bathrooms upstairs, so there aren't any downstairs, which honestly, I had more trouble with the downstairs floor plan than I did the upstairs. I also make the house wider using using basically all the allotted space I was giving myself for these houses because again, this just being a box, I wanted to make sure I had enough room in it. And you honestly don't know how hard building a house is until you are confined to a literal box shape. But as you can see, the shape of the house is coming together. This isn't, like I said, the final shape of the house. This is the initial shape that I wanted to go for. I do choose a lot of base game stuff at first because again, this game comes with a lot of really beautiful blue swatches. This game is not lacking in blue swatches. So many of my favorite items came in a blue swatch. I was very excited. I think the only room I had trouble with was the dining room. There weren't a lot of table options, and I was trying to make the house look somewhat traditional in furnishing, but the tables were very limiting. I am currently picking out the roof tile. This was also a struggle. I ended up going with just this base game roof tile, which is my favorite roof tile in the game because of how the tiles are laid out. I normally go with this version in a black. I put it on almost all of my builds, which you can probably see in a lot of the builds that I use. It just so happened that this was the only blue tile that worked for this style of house. A lot of the tiles available were either modern metal sheeting or like the terracotta type tiles. And then here I am starting on the floor plan of the house. This bottom, like the downstairs floor plan doesn't really change all that much. But as you can see where the room there in the back, that long rectangle, that ends up being the kitchen. As I said, I do make the house wider and I do make it a bit longer. So I have more room for stuff in this downstairs part. The upstairs wasn't an issue for me, actually. I had a fairly easy time doing the upstairs floor plan. I did cut out me trying to figure out where to put the stairs. Originally, I had them in the back, and then I had them off to the side. But I was like, traditionally, I think Colonials have that like grand staircase in the center. But obviously, since this is a tiny version of a Colonial, I couldn't have the grand staircase effect. But I did manage to put it somewhat in the middle of the house, which I was proud of. And then here's the upstairs floor plan coming together. I have the master bedroom, a kids room, and then 2 bathrooms. One of them ends up being an ensuite. I do use these doors from Strangerville, which come in a pretty blue color. I love using those doors any chance that I get, especially in houses where I want them to look a bit older. And then I do use a base game front door and base game windows on the outside. As you can see, we just cut to me having chosen the final windows. I'm changing up the paneling on the outside. I decided to go with a brick texture instead. I thought it looked more fitting for the house. I wasn't really vibing with the paneling. I kind of just put it up as a placeholder until I could figure out what I wanted to do. And then I just used a stone for the outside. I believe that's from Adventure Awaits. Didn't really see the pack there. But then here I am picking out the flooring. I go with the more updated tile for the ensuite bathroom, and then I use the other tile from Growing Together, and then the other one is from the Sleek Bathroom Kit. And then this is My First Pet Stuff flooring. It came in a really nice light blue shade. It was the only wood flooring that really worked because I wanted to use wood flooring in this house. And then I'm using some of my favorite tiles in the game. I love these floor tiles from For Rent. I think they're so beautiful. I love them. They make a second appearance in a different house coming up. I use those tiles any chance that I get. I have found that I think I have some staples in this game, and I should probably do a build soon where I use items that I don't normally use to see if I can find some new favorite items, but I do now see that I have some favorites. A lot of favorites, actually. But here I am picking out the wallpapers. I started with the kids' bedroom upstairs because I wanted to use that cute wallpaper from Pastel Pop Kit. And then I just used some more base game wallpapers down here. The archways I'm using, I believe those aren't base game. I think those are the archways from Adventure Awaits. And then I just use a traditional sliding glass door back there. And then instead of doing full wallpaper, I use the half wallpaper, half like I don't think it's called wainscoting. I think it's like just like the wooden feature on the bottom. And then on the stairs here, I put this railing, and I'm so glad we now have the option to take the railing off the side that's clipping into the wall. Now the first room I decorate is the kids' bedroom. Like I said, the wallpaper and the floor I use is from the Pastel Pop Kit, and I end up using a bed from My First Pet Stuff. It has this cat bedspread on it. I thought it was really cute, and then I kind of used that for inspiration for what I think the child in this room would be into. I think that as of right now, anyways, the kid wants to grow up to be a veterinarian, and they hope to one day just have a bunch of cats, whether that be in their house or cats that they adopt like strays outside. But the nightstand is also from Pastel Pop, and I just use a base game dresser here. I use some string lights in here. I put a cat mirror above the dresser. I put some cat pictures around. Like I said, I feel like this kid just really loves cats. Kid after my own heart, honestly. I love cats. But here I am just looking for some wall art to put on the walls that at least is kid friendly. I put up these fairy posters. I get out this art collection from Parenthood. I also thought that maybe this kid was a little bit artistic, so there's some artsy stuff. I also end up putting some sports stuff in this room as well. I just think that this kid is kind of into a little bit of everything. I pictured that this family is pretty outdoorsy, so their family does a lot of stuff outdoors. So this kid just kind of picked up on some sports. They also collect stuffed animals. They have a small little stuffed animal collection, plushie collection growing in their corner of their room right now. I believe that big one should still work. Obviously the baby raccoon one might also work even if it's sized down. It just might be a little weird. And there is a weird shadow with it since I sized it down. I didn't really notice it until just now, but honestly it doesn't bother me all that much. And then I put those butterflies up on the wall. I used this base game curtain that I believe came when we got the infant update. And then here I am picking out the pennants that are going to go on the wall, which is where I got maybe this kid was into sports. I also put a dog calendar up on the wall. And then I believe I put the little like ribbon decal that came with, I believe, high school years up on the wall. So maybe this child has won some awards, whether that be in sports or like art fairs or something. I just thought it was a really cute idea. And then in the corner by the dresser, there is like a really teeny tiny gap. And you're going to see me struggle here for a little bit to try to figure out what to put in that gap. But before we do that, I'm going to be cluttering up the dresser here. I put a little penguin TV on their dresser. I put the friendship bracelet kit that should still work where it is placed. I don't move objects in at all. It stays exactly where it is because I wanted it to be functional. And then I put a water bottle on the nightstand. I put an open book on the nightstand. There's a signed hat on the dresser that I thought maybe was from this child's favorite athlete or something. And then I used that camera from, I believe, the Cozy Gamer kit with the little stickers. I don't think it's a camera. It's like a printer for like stickers. And then I put these two pictures on the dresser. And I just put a little flower here. I thought this room came out really, really cute. It's a bit cluttered. It's a bit all over the place. But Like I've said in previous builds for kids' rooms, I'm trying to get out of just theming the kids' room out of like one thing. Because while there are kids that are very just into one specific thing, I think a lot of kids have a lot of different interests, so their rooms are just kind of hodgepodgey all over the place. Um, so that's what I've been trying to do lately with my kids' rooms. And then here I am trying to fill that gap. I thought I would put a plant in here, but it didn't really make sense for a child to have a plant in their room. So then I was like, oh, I'll just put a bookcase. But then the bookcase, one, wouldn't be functional, and two, it would just didn't look right in that corner. So I think I end up putting a lamp from My Purse Pet Stuff, the one that's like shaped like a cat, in the corner. And then I end up moving the hanging lights so the corner over there is just not as blinding. And then the last thing I put in this room is just going to be some shoes and a mirror by the door before I head into decorating the parents' room, which I did start recording that segment anyways, at least a day after this one, because I really struggled with the outside of this house trying to get the floor plan done. Once I did the kids' rooms, I did the bathrooms off camera after I stopped recording the kids' room, and then I called it a day. And this is a brand new day, fresh eyes on the house. And I feel like this bedroom probably came out 10 times better than it would have if I had just pushed through and continued decorating the house the rest of the day before. But here is that bedroom. It's got base game wallpaper. That bed is from Horse Ranch. It's in the blue swatch. I think that bed is really pretty. I want to use this bed more often, but it seems very stylized to certain types of houses. But I would love to use it more. I think the headboard is gorgeous. And then I used some nightstands from high school years. And then I believe those sconces are from Seasons. I don't use those sconces a whole lot. But when I do, they don't emit a lot of light, so I kind of just use them as accent lights. And then that is a base game picture hanging above the bed. And as you will see, I did struggle with the dresser in this room, specifically because I wanted to use something skinny to go on that wall, and picking out that color was a bit rough because none of the colors really matched. So I had to go with the closest one. So I picked that color, and then these curtains are from Dream Home Decorator, I believe. And then I hang a super expensive painting up on this wall of a guy playing a piano. I don't know why. I don't think any of these parents really play piano. I just think it was a nice piece to fill up the wall right there. And then I do use a rug from My First Pet Stuff in here. I thought about using some other rugs, but they were too busy. I thought something plain looked a lot nicer. And then I will be putting a plant in this room because it's the parents' room and it makes more sense. And then I guess I decided there should be a baby in this house. So this room. Oh my goodness, words are difficult right now. This house is actually for 2 parents, a child, and a baby. So I end up decorating the nightstand full of a bunch of stuff for children, babies specifically, and then I put some books on the nightstand as well, and just kind of make it more of a baby-friendly parent room, like they're constantly at the ready to change a diaper, all that fun stuff. And then I put a little plant on this nightstand. And then the last thing I will be putting up in this room is just some empty frames by the bed to hang some family photos up for your Sims. I think I put them in those squares on the wall, which I don't know if that looks too good looking at it now, but it's what I did, so it's gonna be that way. And now we're going to be finally moving downstairs to work on the main part of the house, and the first part is going to be the kitchen. So I didn't really know what kind of vibe I wanted this kitchen to have. I didn't know if I wanted it to be modern. I didn't know if I wanted it to be traditional. So I kind of did a mismatch of styles in here. I went with these modern granite countertops from Base Game. I cannot stop using these countertops. I also used the appliances from the Country Kitchen Kit, which was free on the marketplace for some reason, and I'm not going to question it. I don't say no for free. I'll take free stuff any day. So that kitchen set is going to make an appearance quite a lot in the next 2 builds, this one and the next one that I do, because it was new and I wanted to use it. At least it was new to me. Probably not new to a lot of you. But I do use another kit in here, and it is going to be the kitchen clutter. That kitchen clutter kit. I'm using the sink already, and then I use, I think, some of the jars, this open cereal box with cereal on the counter. I found that I like the one that has cereal on the counter more than I like the swatches without the cereal on the counter. And then I use this dish rack from Parenthood. I used to use this dish rack a lot. I think I still use it a lot, but there is another dish rack that I like using. I think it's from For Rent, or is it from Snowy Escape? I'm not 100% sure, but there is another dish rack that I like to use now more than I like to use that one. But I am putting more clutter from the kitchen clutter kit over here on the counter. And then this is when I kind of start to struggle a little bit. There's not a lot of kitchen wall clutter, at least in a blue swatch. There is kitchen wall clutter, just not in the color that I was trying to use, which was blue. I do put the parenting board up here. It stays on the above that counter for a long time, but one, I don't think you can use it above that counter, and two, I find a better spot for it, which is over there on the wall opposite of the aprons. I also hang some bags on the wall that I know that there's a purse on there, but I think that one big bag could be like one of those reusable shopping bags. I think about hanging these pots and pans up for a little bit, but then I just end up going with the broom, and I put a trash can over there. And then I also kind of struggle with a doormat over here. I ended up just going with one from Seasons after putting this rug down. That's from the Sleek Bathroom Kit, which honestly I think that looks kind of good in the kitchen. Also, I did notice when I placed it down that it is a bit transparent. I didn't know that at first, but it is very much transparent. You can see the floor tiles underneath it, which I think there's a rug from the, what is it, the Industrial Loft Kit. I don't have that kit, but I've seen other people use that big giant fuzzy rug from that one. That one's also see-through. I don't know if the Sims team is aware of that, or if they are, but they just can't fix it. I have no idea. But over here on the wall, I do reuse the dog calendar that I used in the kids' room upstairs. I also hang some succulents on the wall. And then we've been moving into the dining room, where I basically cut out almost all of my struggles with this room. You will see me here struggle to pick a table for a couple of seconds. I do stick with this table. I was just having problems picking out the correct wood swatch, I guess, on the legs and the tabletop. I end up going with this one and then using these chairs. It's not technically the style that I wanted to go for, which was kind of traditional in this room. It's more modern. But I kind of just had to go with it. I had to say there's not going to be anything perfect. Nothing's going to match the chairs I want to use, so I just used this. This is, I believe, is from Dream Home Decorator. That plant is from Adventure Awaits. I used a Seasons painting at one point. I think about putting cabinets behind two of the chairs, but then it was so cramped and packed in here that I decided not to. I just put a plant in that corner. And then I pretty much call this room a day. Honestly, the dining room is not my favorite in the house. It works for the purpose that it serves. If I had a different color to work with, it probably would have turned out way better. But honestly, it is what it is at this point. It's a dining room. Not a whole lot happens in there unless you want some stuff to happen in there. But that's pretty much it for this room. I put up some curtains. I put a plant, put a mirror. Call it a day, and I kind of move on with my life. I also put a rug in here, apparently. I don't know why I chose that one specifically. I think it was because of the browns and the wood tone. But we are going to be moving on to the entryway. I use a lot of the Grange Mudroom kit in here. I love this kit. This was a FOMO kit for me. I did buy this one because I saw other people using it and I saw what it looked like and I was like, I have to have this. So I do use a lot of that in here. And I'm thankful that it comes in this really nice blue swatch, which finding out kind of using these kits, I can basically use any shade of blue. Since I am in the blue house, I'm going to use that for reference. I can use any shade of blue in here, and that blue can tie in other blues from other rooms, so it kind of cohesively ties the entire house together. So I don't have to use one single shade of blue in a room. As long as the room doesn't look like a mess or a disaster, it kind of flows and kind of works together, which I think is really nice. I'm sure other people would probably disagree. People who are study color theory and all that stuff will be like, that's not really how that works. But you know what? In my head, these houses come together so nicely because I don't just stick to one shade of blue, which you kind of can't in The Sims. If I was playing Pair Lives, however, I could stick to one shade of blue and make the entire house just one color, which honestly I might do because that sounds kind of fun. But here we are in the last room of the house, which is the living room. I cut out me struggling to pick out not only a fireplace, but also bookshelves. That is why when we came into this room, there were those like neon colored blue bookshelves. I ended up scrapping the bookshelf idea and just going for this fireplace from Cats and Dogs, I believe. And then these couches were also free on the marketplace a while back. I think they are still free. I don't know if they're going to be free forever or if they're just free for a limited time. But again, I love it when something says free that I don't have to spend my money on. And also these couches look really comfy. They look really cozy, really family oriented. So I had to use them. They were also new. And then on this coffee table from Dream Home Decorator, which I believe the rug is also from Dream Home Decorator, I just put a whole bunch of kids crafting clutter and then some baby stuff as well and a water bottle. I imagined that not only was this family outdoorsy, they were also very artsy as well, and that's why earlier I said the kid was crafty. There's so much craft stuff down here. There's also going to be a craft table by the fireplace. I also do not put a TV in here, and I don't think that that was on purpose. I think that was just literally by accident. I didn't even think I don't even think I thought about putting a TV in here. I don't think it ever crossed my mind. I think it might have been something like, I'm going to find a place, I'm going to put a table in front, I'm going to put a TV in front of the mirror above the fireplace. And then I just got really busy with other things that it just slipped my mind and I completely forgot about it. But honestly, I don't even think this family watches TV. I think they sit on those couches, read some books, talk to each other, all that kind of stuff. There is a computer in this room, though. I believe that maybe one of the parents could be a writer or something. There is that tablet on the table, which I think is supposed to be like design clutter. So maybe one of the parents is like an interior designer or something. There's also an art easel too. So maybe one of the parents is a painter. This family is very much I want to say anti-electronics because they have a computer, but they value family time over TV time, I guess, and doing stuff with your hands and your brain and going outside and being in nature, which I did that today. I sat by the pool for 2.5 hours and it was glorious. Sitting out there, letting the sun burn my skin to a crisp. It actually didn't. I wore so much sunscreen that I don't even think the sun touched me other than making me really, really hot. But I am finished cluttering the desk over here. I just use a bunch of random clutter. Those books are from that login reward event. I think they're supposed to be like the Bridgerton books or something. But they came in a really pretty pastel color. So I use those. Oh, I also put a guitar in here. I don't know why I put a guitar. I didn't picture any of the parents playing guitar. Maybe they take that guitar with them when they go camping or out on adventures and stuff, just for like campfire vibes. So maybe one of the parents does know how to play guitar, but it's not something that they do all the time. It's just something that they do randomly. And then the last thing I'll be doing inside is just putting some different lights around. I use these lights from Dream Home Decorator, both these little flaggy ones and this little pendant light. I put that pendant light set also in the parents' bedroom as well. I think this is the first time where I've made the lights pretty consistent throughout the entire house. Normally I try to use different lights in every room, but I think that's the first time that they've all been the same. And lastly, I will be working on the outside here. I use these flower boxes on the windows, and then I put some random plants up here on the balcony. This balcony took me a lot less time to figure out than the balcony in the next video, which is for a beach house, because it also has kind of like a faux balcony thing going on. I just used those 2 barrels. I believe those are from Cats and Dogs. And then I use these lights from Get Together on both the front and the back porch. And then I will be putting some kayaks out here next to the house. They take these kayaks with them. They love to go kayaking around, whether that be in Sulani or in the Gibby Point. Like I said, this Sims family loves nature, loves being outdoors, loves bugs, loves all of it. And then I put a kids bike out here, and then on the deck out here, I will be putting, I believe, just a couple of plant pots because I, for some reason, have to put plant pots on every single porch to fill up space. And then I will be putting a grill and then an outdoor dining space, which I believe these Sims probably use the outdoor dining space more than they use their indoor space anyways, which honestly I think just adds up for the Sims in general, using the outdoor space more than the indoor space. And then the final thing that I will be doing is just adding some landscaping around the house. And that is pretty much it for this build. I have 2 more houses to show you. I would say 3, but I forgot to record me building the orange house that is next door to this blue house. So I will probably tack screenshots of that build onto the video for the final house that I do, which is going to be I think I'm going to go with a Spanish style house since the color's brown. So I'm probably going to go with like a Spanish style house that kind of matches the Oasis Springs neighborhood from base game. So those will be tacked on probably at the beginning of that last video. But the next video should be the yellow one, which is my beach house. And then when I build it, I'll do the brown house, and then I will player test all these houses to make sure everything works. And then I'm going to try to see if I can individually upload them. We're going to see how that works. I have a thought, and I'm hoping, crossing my fingers, that it works. If not, this entire lot will be available on the gallery, and then you can delete whatever houses you don't want to use if you even decide to download this. But yeah, I can't wait to finally post this on the gallery and move on to other builds, other things to do, because I have a lot of other ideas that I want to try as well. But as always, thank you so much for watching. My Green Siblings Suburban video got over 200 views, which is kind of insane to me. So thank you so much for that. And yeah, I will see you all in the next one. Bye!